Hey everybody, welcome to the Herd Fit Podcast with Dr. Sam Rhee and myself, Coach David Syvertsen. This podcast is aimed at helping anyone and everyone looking to enhance their healthy lifestyle through fitness, nutrition, and most importantly, mindset. Welcome back to the Herd Fit Podcast. I am Coach David Syvertsen here with my co-host, Dr. and Coach Sam Rhee. We have an interesting topic today that I think a lot of people, a lot of CrossFitters, I would say most can relate to. And I think just getting the ball rolling on your thought process in relation to it can help out. And that topic is, what do I use Open Gym for? What should I be doing at Open Gym? And Open Gym, by definition, if we want to put a term on it, means that you go to the gym to work out, but it is not in a class setting. There's no structure. You just show up and you do your own thing, which when most people start going to a gym, that is your first process, right? Like the first time you've ever worked out at a gym, my first 6 years of working out at a gym, there was no template, there was no plan, there was no workout plan either. It was just kind of go and do what I wanted to do. And then eventually you find your system, you find your routine, you find some new goals, what you want to do, right? But the CrossFit model is very structured to the point where people almost struggle to do anything on their own or come up with anything on their own. And that is part of what a CrossFitter pays for. It's the gym, it's the programming, but it's also the structure of a class where you literally just show up with whatever equipment you want to bring in, whatever you have, and the coach basically directs traffic, teaches, every gym does it different, but everything is structured. You show up to Open Gym. If you do that for a long time, you show up to Open Gym, sometimes you want to work on something, but you don't know what to do. For example, when we did, during the pandemic, we used to send out weekly programming for at-home workouts. Remember that?
Yep.
We also posted workouts on our website for people that had home gyms and equipment at home. And one of the constant things was people would say like, yo, I don't know what to do for a warm-up. Like, what do I do? I'm like, they've been CrossFitting for 5 years, and it's not because they're dumb. It's not because they're irresponsible. They were just so used to that. I don't need to plan my warm up. I don't need to draw out a 15-minute stretch plus warm up plus activation piece. It was just do what the coach says and then I go. And I think I've paralleled that to when people show up to the gym to work out at CrossFit Bison, our Open Gym is on Sundays, and I'm going to get more into that before we get into some advice. I see this a lot. People kind of come in and they see other people working out with others, and they kind of feel a little lonely. They sit on a roller for 15 minutes. They hop on an assault bike, and you can tell they don't know what to do. Like, what am I doing here? Tomorrow's WOD looks really hard. Yesterday's WOD was really hard. What should I do? So we're going to get into a few different approaches that you can have. You don't need to pick 1, 2, or 3. You could pick all of them. But I think if you can kind of put yourself into one of these tiers, I think it could help you make a lot of decisions in terms of what to do at Open Gym. Opening thoughts, Sam.
Yeah. Now that I have structure as a coach, I structure myself a little bit better with Open Gym. But yeah, CrossFit Bison Sundays are the one day we don't have classes.
Right.
There is an Open Gym session. Different gyms probably have different schedules.
Yeah.
Some gyms have Open Gym almost every day or several times a week. But I feel like if your gym has a class, why are you not taking that class?
Yes.
I mean, you should take the programming that you're assigned.
Yep.
And I'm sure we'll talk about all the different options about that.
Yeah.
But that would be the first thing I would say.
Yeah. I mean, we've had a lot of new people come to Bison in the past few months from other gyms, and people that have either their own gyms, coach at gyms, or have been CrossFitting for 7-8 years. So a lot of experience. And it's one of the first questions we get when someone from another gym, longtime CrossFitter, comes in. They're kind of like almost tippy-toe over, like, so what's the Open Gym policy here? And I'm like, Sundays 8 to 10. And they're like, oh, that's it? I'm like, well, hey, if you want to go work in the back during a class and get some extra work in, like, hey, you did the WOD and you have the capacity, the time, and desire to go do some extra work on your own, do it. But class always has priority. If the class is full, you got to get out of here. If you're going to you're going to have to not make noise while the coach is coaching, all that stuff, right? It's just one of the most common questions that we get. And a lot of gyms do that Open Gym every day. And we're actually going to send the email out today that the gym will be open from 8 to 9:30, Monday through Friday for Open Gym. But we'll talk about that later. It's a funny story. Back when we opened the gym in 2014, one of Ashley's rules was like, hey, the schedule's weird. You're up in the morning early. You're late at night. We're there on the weekends. We're there on the holidays. No Sundays. Like the gym is closed on Sundays. And a lot of people don't know at Bison, we did not have open gym, structured actual open gym for years.
Oh.
We actually started open gym, I think, in year 3. We had 2 years of like, hey, the gym's not open on Sundays and that's it. And we knew that the second we made that decision to provide open gym on Sundays, it's going to be there forever. And not a bad decision at all. Don't regret it. I think it's a good decision. And I'm going to get into why I think open gym is good. But yeah, let's dive into some of the things that you can do. I'm going to list a few. And again, you don't need to pick one, but I think this could help some of you guys make a decision that maybe these 2 months I focus on this. My number one thing that I would say it's macro level is do something in open gym that you don't do in class or that you can't do in class, right? Example would be a 45-minute workout. You know, where it's an endurance piece, right? A lot of CrossFit workouts by nature have to be short and intense. That is the CrossFit methodology, but it's also, you know, classes need to be done in X amount of time.
Logistics.
Yeah. So I would try to do movements or kinds of workouts. And one of them could be the length of a workout, a 45-minute workout. I really do think that if you want to improve your engine, you have to go long. And if you want a number, I'm going to give you one that's objective. Whatever time frame that you want to get better at. All right. If it's a 15-minute AMRAP, if it's a 20-minute AMRAP, if it's a 10-minute AMRAP, right? You need to be able to work at a sustainable pace for 2 to 3 times that number. So if it is a 20-minute AMRAP that you just always get crushed in workouts, you got to be able to work out for 60 minutes and do it well. And not at that intensity,
okay,
right?
Thank you.
But yeah, no, you're not going to go do Fran for 60 minutes straight, but it would be more like a low to moderate, maybe even interval piece that lasts 60 minutes where you're not actually stopping after 8 minutes and just falling on the ground and being like, hey, I worked hard. I also think that can help your recovery week to week as well, just working for long at low paces. And I also think another way of looking at it, what don't you do in a gym, is what equipment can you not use in your classes, right? We have bikes here. We don't put bikes into workouts. We don't have enough for classes. And, you know, we use them in scaling options all the time. I know you do as a coach. You always write them on the whiteboard when people can't run or people can't jump or whatever reason. We'll put them on a bike. The ski erg, the glute ham developer, the GHD, right? We don't use these things in classes. So try to think about things you don't get to do in your CrossFit classes. And that's like probably one of the first things I would kind of hone in on is I want to do this kind of workout or use this kind of equipment that I don't normally get to use.
Yeah. When I work out on Wednesdays after I coach, I have about an hour and I will almost always include GHDs in there for a bunch of reasons. I think GHDs provide a lot of value, but yeah, we're not programming them into our daily classes. So it's something for me to work in on my off day. Yeah, awesome.
Now, another avenue we go down with what can you do in open gym is what your schedule during the week. If you have a certain day of the week that it's really tough for you to get to the gym, whether that's future or past, right? Like I couldn't get to the gym this past day, or I can't get to the gym on Thursdays. Look ahead at your gym's programming, or if your gym does not provide programming that far ahead of time, look back at previous days that you've gone. Because if you're at a gym with a responsible programmer, right, there's probably, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, they should not always program the squat days on Mondays, the gymnastics on Tuesdays, the bodyweight workouts on Thursdays, right? It should vary day to day. And because of that, you know, you should be able to find, like, you should never be like, hey, I can't get to the gym on Mondays. That means I always miss squat day. Like, that means the coach that's programming is messing that up. But because of your schedule, if you missed the back squat day on this week, like we're in a little bit of a back squat routine at Bison, right? And if you came and you couldn't get here on Thursday because that's just one of the days you can't get there, or it's a program rest day for yourself. And that was the day that within our cycle, we back squatted. But next week, we're on Tuesday, you could come to an open gym and try to make up for a class that you really felt like you should have done. And I think that's another thing that a lot of people do. I think Ashley and Adam just did the workout, this upcoming Tuesday workout. And Adam coaches Tuesday, so we probably now have really good feedback. That's really just for coaches to do the workout ahead of time. Sam does that a lot. But I think that's something we're all busy people, right? And there's things that always come up, or it's, for people that work, sometimes it's nice to get home from work at a normal hour and just be home for the rest of the night. If you're looking for something to do and you're really just like, I have no idea, I'm not good at programming, I don't want to program, that's what I would suggest is look at a workout from the past, or if your coaches provide them for the future, look at something you can't get to and go for it.
I think I see a lot of athletes do that, and that's pretty smart. They missed a workout the week before. They're going to miss one upcoming. My piece of advice is if you can find someone to do that workout with, like Adam did with Ash, do that, because I will often do Wednesday's workout on Sunday beforehand to prep for it. And I will get my number, and then I will look at the Wednesday whiteboard, and I am so bad every time I do it by myself. I never can bring that same intensity that I would have in class. And I know it's just a subpar workout a lot of times when I'm just doing it on my own. If you can bring someone to your open gym and say, hey, listen, let's do this together, or a couple people, you can help bring that intensity that you normally wouldn't if you were in open gym just doing it all by yourself.
I love that. That's really another kind of bullet point under this topic is, there's a lot of people in the gym that you might be friends with, that you used to be able to work out with, but because your schedules have changed, you're now in the morning, they come at night. This is a really great opportunity if you guys can line this up to meet people. And we see this all the time at open gym, that people are in group workouts, and, sometimes you get a little like, oh, I hope these people don't feel left out, but at open gym, I feel like there should be no rules there, right? Like you can just really find some people that you really want to work out with, and hey, we never get to see each other at these points. Let's go out there and do it. It just kind of enhances the social component. But yeah, to Sam's point, it makes your work a little bit harder, right? And, you're a CrossFitter. You're probably used to being around other people. My next thing that you really want to work on at open gym is skill/strength work. And this can go, everything we do in CrossFit, I always say this when I coach, is a skill. Like everything, like down to your back squat, down to a rope climb. They're all skills, okay? But if you really want to emphasize something, we have a lot of people that want to work on butterfly pull-ups, handstand walking, rope climbs, these wall-facing strict handstand push-ups. This is a great opportunity to come in, take the intensity down a notch, right? And it could still be considered strength work if you're not working to lifting to a really high percentage, right? But I think there's a good opportunity for you to slow yourself down and just work on a skill. And if I really wanted to list some of the skills, I just listed some, but others that I think would benefit in open gym is double unders, handstand walking, toes to bar, pull-ups, butterfly pull-ups, handstand push-ups, rope climbs, all that stuff. Again, it's hard to program. I will tell you this, in a gym like this, it's hard to program rope climbs in our gym because we have 6. We have classes of 25, right? It's hard to program handstand walks in our gym. We try it throughout the year a few times, but you just have more space, and because there isn't structure of a class and timelines that a coach needs to hit and 18 scaling options that you need to give everyone, you can really just focus on an EMOM of just you focusing on your handstand walks, right? Or your pistols or your jump rope. And my suggestion is always 20 to 30 seconds of work and then twice that of rest. So if you wanted to go 20 on, 40 off, that's like a good time period to work on a skill. If you did that with jump rope, because it wouldn't be the point of trying to max yourself out to the point where your nose is bleeding, you're on the ground. You do enough of that, the high intensity work during the week. Can you take a skill work? To me is your controlled heart rate, you're not that tired, and it's really just trying to focus on these fine points rather than you're breathing so heavy, I can't concentrate on anything.
It's not like you read my mind, because that's what I program for myself. Every time I have my own workout to do, I'll do an EMOM. And I pulled a lot of that from, I think I saw a lot of professional CrossFitters when they're doing their training, they don't chase high intensity all the time. They're doing interval work. And especially, I don't feel very motivated by myself. If I'm in an EMOM setting, I know I will usually program like 4 to 5 movements I need work on. A lot of times I have double unders, but if I don't touch on them at least on a regular basis, I'll lose it. So I'll program, an EMOM with GHDs, double unders. I suck at box jumps. Sometimes I'll work on that. On whatever I need to sort of brush on, 4 to 5 movements, maybe 5 rounds of it. And I program usually 20 to 30 seconds of work. And I try to hit that same number every time. So if I'm hitting like 8 GHDs per round, I'll try to stick to that.
Yes, that's awesome.
And then I just go through it. And by the end, you're pretty wiped. And you've worked on your weaknesses. And you brought a level of intensity you would not have if you just sat there and said, okay, I'm just going to do handstand walks for 10 minutes. Well, how much handstand walking are you really going to do? So if you force yourself to interval it, and then you mix other stuff in, because we're CrossFitters, we like
mixed modal.
It's so easy for me to sort, and then I'll look at the programming for the rest of the weekend and be like, okay, well, we're squatting here, so I'm not going to do a squat movement. I'm going to do this. it really helps me to just fill in some of the gaps that I know I have.
Yeah, no, it's a great way to approach. Like EMOMs are great because again, when you're by yourself, you can at some point in an EMOM, like say, let's make up a number, right? EMOM 10, 20 seconds of double unders, all right? Not going to be a ton of work, but at the end, it's pretty tough, right? And I also think there's a lesson to be learned there about pacing, something we talk about all the time, and it goes in one ear, out the other for a lot of people, but you get that taste at the end of the EMOM, like, man, this is pretty tough, right? But because you weren't going that hard early on, you felt like you could push at the end. You felt safe and you could really concentrate. So there's multiple lessons you can learn from these EMOMs, but it makes it kind of fun to chase after a number, right? Instead of chasing after a person and then in the back of your head, you're like, that person's squat isn't going all the way down, right? Like you're just like, let's say Sam gets 37 double unders in that first interval. It's kind of fun. That adds intensity to your group and it's measurable, right? And it's as simple as it gets. So yeah, I love the guideline of working 20 to 30 seconds. I think EMOM 10 is great. If you want to start adding other movements, you do the alternating EMOMs, right? The odd minutes, I do 20 to 30 seconds of jump rope. The even minutes, I do 20 to 30 seconds of GHD sit-ups, or I work on my handstand walks, right? Or different skill components to those movements. So that's a great thing to do at open gym because you are training, you are working hard, you feel like you're tired at the end, but you didn't feel like you just put yourself through a typical CrossFit workout blender. The strength work, I think, can kind of follow the same format, probably not as time-based. It could be a little bit more about load-based, like your cleans, your snatches, right? We're at a gym where we simply just do not snatch that much. We do it a few points throughout the year, and we usually don't go to a max. I would say in a year, we're probably telling people, hey, go for a heavy snatch twice a year, right? And some gyms are not like that. They like to snatch. It's a huge part of the programming. It's just not a big part of our programming. But I do have people that like, oh, wait, I need to snatch. I'm a competitor, or it's one of my favorite lifts. I really want to do it. That's the opportunity to do it. So how do you format your workout, a strength workout in open gym in that whole 20 to 30 second kind of analogy is I think that lifting in open gym is 70 to 80% is where like that fine tune would be. Like you want to get perfect at those weights. And I really think people would get so much better at lifting. They would get stronger in the long run if they use an open gym period to master 70, 80%. Now, when you talk about volume, it's sets of 5, sets of 10, sets of 2. That will dictate how much rest you need in between. The macro level thing I'll say there is the rest should be longer than you think. So if you're used to doing like, a minute or two of rest in between your strength sets, take 2 or 3 minutes, sit down. And I think that would benefit a lot of people with open gym. And sometimes you just don't have the time to do that in a class. If you're going to rest 2 to 3 minutes in between every single set and your warm up and your setup, that's, might be a 45, 50-minute thing. You can't really do that during a class,
I rarely chase heavy lifts during open gym. Mm-hmm. What I will usually do, and I learned this from you, is I will just do something to get my heart rate up. Mm-hmm. So one of my movements for an EMOM will always be a row or a bike or something. Yep. And that just makes my lift more challenging.
Right.
So, right. And you do that all the time to us.
Yeah.
If it doesn't have to be a ton of like I'm dying on the floor every time I do that EMOM heart rate elevator movement.
Yep.
But I just want to do that. And I usually will program that for myself right before my lift.
Right.
So if I'm snatching that day, I will do that first. So my heart rate is up.
Yep.
It actually warms me up a little bit.
Yeah.
And it makes me focus on lifting not fresh, which how often am I really lifting fresh
in CrossFit? Yeah.
Never.
Rarely.
So, so I always want to make sure if, because I could always just do 5x5 back squat or something.
Yep.
But for me, it's almost normal to mix something in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just so that I make sure that I'm feeling like I would in a workout when I'm hitting that barbell.
That's awesome. I love that. And to build off that, I think that people do that a lot with strength, like what we just said. And I program that for people a lot too, like be strong when you're tired. But I'm going to use tomorrow's bicep benchmark workout as an example of the flip side of it is I don't think a lot of people practice or even are aware of practicing their high skill movements when they're tired. And that is a big part of what the benchmark is going to be testing. You have thrusters paired with jump rope. You have thrusters paired with gymnastics of your choice on the rig. Muscle up, chest bar pull up, or regular pull up, right? And I think that same format is really trying to build awareness in yourself, whether you're breathing really heavy, muscles are burning, that, the idea of the concept of midline stability accuracy, timing. It's all vital to skill progression with any movement, right? I just watched, we have a couple people prepping for Legends and Masters Fitness Collective, and I had them come in and do a really hard workout paired with handstand walks. Brutal workout. And you can tell that there is a lack of development of skill under duress with a couple of athletes. And it's something we need to work on. It's something I need to work on as a coach with these people. And I've noticed that at competitions, very high level athletes, like they can post all these videos of them walking up and down ramps and weights and in and out, left and right, walking squares and circles on their hands. But the second they put into a workout, it's just not there. And I think that's a huge part of what you could do in relation to Sam. If you want to come in and work on a strength or a skill, yes, work on the skill. But if you feel like you're trying to get to the next level with it, or you want to be a mixed modal monster with that movement or with that lift, it's got to be mixed in with something else as well. So I love that. So another thing I want to get into with gym training, I want to use Nick Squire as an example for this, is we call it accessory work, right? And a lot of times accessory work gets grouped in with boring, not intense. This isn't CrossFit stuff where you come in and you're just doing nothing for time, nothing for max weight, but you're building muscle. And a lot of muscles that are really hard to train, hard to get to, but also are a huge part of keeping you safe and in the game. Nick Squire, for about 2-3 years, Nick had a pretty significant back issue, herniated disc, never had anything done, but he had to really slow himself down for a long time. And he came in, I want to say, for 2 years straight on Sundays while everyone else is doing fun ring muscle ups and hero workouts. And Nick was like just in the back corner doing tempo Bulgarian split squats and glute ham bridges and crossover symmetry. And the other day I lifted with him. We back squatted and we did heavy cleans, and he had no knee sleeves on. I'm like, man, like at some point, like one of my goals in life is to be able to like never have to wear a knee sleeve again because I feel like I'm so dependent on it with my knee pain and the volume I'm doing. And he's like, dude, the 2 years of all that accessory work, that like my knees have never felt better. And he just built his hamstrings and his glutes up so much. And it's something I think CrossFitters get. We almost get too obsessed with like what our movements look like, what our times are, what our weights are. And that kind of accessory training, there isn't like a high that you get. It's just come in, but there isn't like this objective, like, wow, my hamstrings like are so much stronger. There's no one can see it and you can't see it yourself. It's just, hey, I'm doing the work and I know it's going to help me down the road. And the accessory work, coming to the gym for an hour and a half and just doing boring stuff while everyone around you is doing fun stuff and you're by yourself, you don't have music, or the music that's on, it sucks, right? You come in and you still get the job done. The benefits of that kind of training will go so much deeper than coming in and putting yourself through a hero workout.
It takes so much discipline, to come in and do single leg work.
Yeah,
rehab sort of physical therapy style. Training.
Yep.
And I've done it when I've been injured, and I will say Nick Squire is the model example. I was so bad at it.
Yep.
And I feel like I'm a pretty focused, disciplined person.
Yep.
That was really a challenge.
Yeah.
And I think if you're going to do that, first of all, you're going to have to help get someone to hold you accountable. Mm-hmm. I know I didn't, and I had a real problem with it.
Yep.
You also have to kind of really follow real workouts.
Right.
Like if you can't feel like you're going to program what you need for yourself, you got to find someone to help you with it.
Right.
But you're right. The single leg stuff, the rehab strengthening stuff,
mm-hmm.
single best thing you could do for your hips, your knees, mobility, range of motion, injury prevention.
Yep.
I can't think of a better modality to do as a CrossFitter if you really want to focus on injury prevention.
Right, and to be in it for the long game.
Yeah, to do that during open gym.
And even as Nick came back from a back injury and he was doing this accessory stuff, he still, over the course of a year and a half, had to every now and then in the middle of a workout be like, all right, you know what? I'm not there yet. I got to stop. It's starting to bother me. Like we're doing all these cleans off the ground, and knock on wood, like he's been as healthy as I've seen him, and he's performing really well, but he's very responsive. He still comes in and does it. And he was here last week doing sled pushes and farmer carries, right? There's a lot you can do with that. And I think that, if you can shift your focus way, this is one thing about a CrossFitter that we have to be careful with. We love that high intensity group effort, like that dopamine spike, the endorphins that run through your body. You accomplish something when you come here that's so hard that so many other people can't do or don't want to do. I think that if you're a regular CrossFitter that comes in 5-6 days a week, I think that should either be the rest day, or if you feel like you got to come in, that this is the best approach. For your long term, is it the short term best thing in the world that's going to get you out of bed excited to go? Probably not. But if you've been in this for a long time and you know the high intensity capacity is there and you know you work hard with the classes, this is probably the one thing I would it doesn't have to be every week, but it should be a part of your rotation. You know, like we're giving you all these different options in terms of what to do at open gym, but this should be a part of the rotation. Like I've seen Jiffy come in here and do these farmer carries. I sent her a farmer carry email like a long time ago, and I still see her doing it. She's walking up and down the rig with the kettlebells in her hands, and I'm telling you what, man, like she's made significant gains across the board. I see her on the rope doing rope climbs, and I think like just the farmer carries, it's not just your grip strength that gets strengthened, like your upper back, time under tension. She's gotten a lot better with a lot of different stuff with CrossFit. And I think part of that is like that she comes in on Sundays and just kind of works on things and does some of that accessory work. I think it's a good example for a lot of people to have. And you look at open gym, there's always someone doing it. Sean O'Hara was here today doing the crossover symmetry stuff, and you know, that's really important stuff. And I think that if you are someone that's constantly beat up, or you feel like every 3 weeks you're kind of just going forward 2 steps, backward 2 steps, this is something I think you could really benefit from. It just might take a little bit longer than you want. Another thing that I think you guys could look at in terms of, you know, I know that we have some athletes here that are on some extra programming. Some of it's with Next Level, some of it's with other stuff. This is probably one of the best times to get that work done, because I have some ambitious people in the gym that are like, all right, yeah, I'll just come in on Mondays before 9:30 or Tuesdays after my WOD and I'll do it then. It doesn't always work out that way. Like life gets in the way, whether it's your kids in the morning or you have this plan that you're going to do something after your 6:15 WOD, but the 6:15 WOD blew you up. And now this extra work that you're doing really just did not have the intent or intensity or, you know, the capacity behind it because you're so tired. And I think Sundays are a great day because, especially at a gym like this, we don't have classes that you can come in and just kind of focus on that task rather than it being an afterthought to some other things that, you know, could potentially get in the way.
I think it's really hard because if you're a competitor and you're following a competitive programming track, and you're also taking classes here at Bison, you need to balance that and figure it out.
Right.
You need to figure out where to work in the classes, where to work in your competitors' programming.
Yep.
I've never, I mean, other than doing Next Level, I've never really followed like a Mayhem or Proven or anything like that. And HPO, and that stuff has so much volume.
It does.
And it's
so much time.
It's so heavy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know where to start with that, honestly, you know, in terms of figuring out how to work that into an open gym system.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's where I think this may be a topic for another time, but trying to get on yourself on a different programming in addition to your gym's programming is usually at some point a losing battle. And you're talking to someone that's tried to do it multiple times and it just doesn't work and it stresses you out. You end up doing things you shouldn't do and it could lead to injury. That's just one of the few things that could happen there. But I think that the programming that anyone else should be on that's in addition to a class should not be a full-blown program. It should have a couple of specific focuses that you can kind of sprinkle in. And ideally, the coach that's programming that does both. You know, you're not taking programming from this person, that person, unless they're talking to each other on a regular basis. So that's going to wrap up my open gym talk, guys. Sam, do you have anything else that you think I'm missing out on, or what other people could view open gym as something that they could do that we didn't talk about?
There are two things. One is I know a lot of people who train for aesthetics and they use it as a bench bicep curl day.
Yeah. You know what? I should have thought about that. I'm upset.
Which happens a lot, which is totally fine.
Awesome. Bodybuilding. Yeah. I mean, bodybuilding 101, I think CrossFitters like look down on people that do curls and stuff. You want as much strength in all of your muscles as possible. You know, like your biceps, chest, some people want that for aesthetics. I think it can go a long way in protecting people from injury. I really do.
The other thing is, and I know Adam Ramsden did this for a while and stopped, and I think there's a good reason why. He's programming a hero workout every Sunday.
Yeah.
And a lot of people did it because it's cool. You want to do hero workouts, and it's fun. But the amount of intensity that it took to do that, it beat you up for Monday. You started the week following class programming, and you just felt beat up.
I know.
And that was tough.
It was tough. I think what Adam did really well with that is most of the hero workouts he chose were not the big long ones. Like I didn't even know some of the hero workouts he found were like 8 minutes long, 9 minutes long, or they weren't heavy. The volume wasn't crazy. And we as CrossFitters always associate hero workouts with like the ones that just absolutely crush you. I will say, if like you said, if you're going to build off that, if you are going to go that high intensity piece on Sunday, I think it should come at the subtraction of a workout either the day before or the day after. So if you're a normal Saturday workout person and you want to come in and work out on Sunday, a hero workout, you should almost always take off on Monday. If that's your flow, I say go for it. But to just simply add another intense workout because you had that addiction to the feeling, it could be a detriment for sure. I mean, we've talked about that several times. It's like, hero workouts by nature, they're bigger than you, right? They're named after a fallen soldier. You're not going to jog through those, but nothing against anyone that would want to do that. I would say it's got to take some extra planning in terms of when you're going to rest. So like if you're going to do the hero workout on Sunday, don't come into the fun WOD on Saturday, that kind of thing. But if you're just constantly saying yes to everything, just to, be included in something, or you have that addiction, I think it's going to go, it's going to go south. All right, cool guys. Thank you for the open gym talk. Hopefully this can help you out, and we'll see you next week. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time out of your day to listen to the Herd Fit podcast. Be on the lookout for next week's episode.